What's up, guys? RK here, and I just wanted to answer a couple questions about the book that is going to be released on Wednesday. And there's going to be a 5-day free promotion. So, some people have been asking me questions, so I wanted to go ahead and answer those. So, let's run over to my computer screen, and I'll just walk you through what Kingdom 24902 is about. So, here we go. So, the book is a Kindle book to start off with, so it's a short read, really quick, to the point, just kind of the golden nuggets that God has been teaching me over the years about the kingdom of God, doing evangelism, finishing the Great Commission. It says it all right there. So first off, what's up with the 24902? So I originally heard about the 24902 concept from Richard Branson. He has a organization called Capitalism 24902, and the circumference of the Earth is 24,902 miles. So I thought, man, what is better than the kingdom of God going to the entire globe, right? So the Kumbaya Circle, as one of my friends called it, is the kingdom of God going to the entire earth. So the first part of the book, there's really 4 parts. So the first part starts off talking about this concept of what is the kingdom of God and what's so good about it. Because I teach classes all over the world, and I almost always will ask them this question: what is the kingdom of God and what is it like? And usually I get these blank stares like I have no idea, because their concept of the kingdom is only heaven. It's a place where you go when you die. But Jesus said to make it your greatest priority. He said, more than eating, drinking, or what you wear, seek first the kingdom. It's more important than your very survival. You need to be seeking this kingdom with everything you have, the kingdom and the righteousness. So that's the first thing. It was Jesus' greatest priority. He talked about it more than he talked about anything else, the kingdom of God. And he's told us that our message, our primary message, needs to be good news of the kingdom. So I wanted to answer the question of what is the kingdom and really what's so good about it? Why would people even want to hear about this kingdom? And what I found is that the kingdom of God is God's answer to man's total needs. So any problem that you could ever face in this world could find its answer in the kingdom. So that's the first part. So the second part is the means to the end, the way to take the kingdom to the 24,902 miles of the earth, and that is the Great Commission. Now, there's really 2 parts to the Great Commission. There's preaching, which is Mark 16, which says go and preach to everyone. But there's another part of the Great Commission, which is teaching. Now, I've heard it said since I first became a Christian that, hey, Jesus says we need to go and make disciples, and that's not actually what Jesus said. We've been content to make disciples in nations when Jesus very specifically in Matthew 28 said that we're supposed to make disciples of nations. And so the way you would disciple a person, Jesus said that we're supposed to go and disciple nations. So there's 2 parts to the Great Commission. There's the Mark Great Commission, which is preach to everybody, and there's the Matthew Great Commission, which is teach nations. And so I go into how you can do both. You can preach to everyone and at the same time teach nations. And I believe there's keys. I believe that God told us how we're supposed to finish the Great Commission. And believe it or not, a lot of what I learned for how to finish the Great Commission, I learned from McDonald's. And so to figure out what the heck I'm talking about, you got to get the book and read it. So the next one is, I think we got to learn from someone who had to do it. And I found a guy who was actually born in Northern Africa. He actually was called by God to lead the largest refugee camp in history, and he had to take this refugee camp from, well, being a refugee camp to being a prosperous nation. And I believe he did a decent job of it. He wasn't great, he wasn't perfect, but he definitely gave us a blueprint of how to disciple nations. But the cool thing that I thought when I was reading this man's story was, if you look at his calling and how he first found out that he was going to have to take this refugee camp and lead them to be a prosperous nation, you'll actually get some huge clues of how you can find your place in God's plan to disciple nations. And finally, the last part, I really wanted to make it practical. What happened is I had an opportunity to sit down for a couple days with a guy from India who baptized 100,000 people, well, more than 100,000 people in a year, less than a year. And man, he began to unpack these things for me, and I taught it for years, but when he began to talk about it, it just made it real for me of how we can take the big picture, which is discipling nations, and make it practical where you can do something every single day of your life, whether you're at work, at the grocery store, at Starbucks, wherever you're at, you can do something that will actually end up in discipling nations. And so that's what it's about. And really, from what I learned from this guy, I learned these 7 principles, these 7 steps to discipling nations. And the fourth part is all about Luke 10 and Matthew 10. 2 times Jesus sends out 2 different groups. In Matthew, he sends out 12. Luke, he sends out 72. And nearly line by line, he asks them to do the same exact thing in these chapters when it comes to discipling nations or reaching cities that he's about to visit. So I believe we find some giant keys in these 7 things. And so that's what Kingdom 24902 is about. Again, it gets released on Wednesday, and it will cost you a whole lot of nothing for 5 days. So it's going to go through the weekend. So make sure you watch Facebook, or if you're on my email list or whatever. And it's a Kindle book, so you're going to have to download the Kindle app. But I'm going to make a video tomorrow to show you how you can get a Kindle book even if you don't have a Kindle. So watch out for that video tomorrow. And until then, looking forward to this book launch and seeing what you think about Kingdom 24902. All right, thanks, guys.